Captain! 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 Came the desperate cry from a child. Seraphina Storm turned. The alarming call of her name rose above the chatter and laughter of those gathered in her home. The women all stood. Aminata the faithful, Imara the strong, Khalida the passionate, and Jahia the jewel, heavy with child and far too close to birthing, was on her feet. They did not ask questions. They did not panic. They listened. The bell rang again, urgent, wild, wrong. The only person who remained unfazed was the elder among the women. Branwen the raven remained in her rocker near the hearth, needles clicking softly as she worked a birthing blanket of midnight wool. Her silver hair fell past her shoulders. "Storm bells are not rung for nothing," Branwen said calmly and rocked in her chair. "But not every storm requires teeth." Steel whispered as 3 daggers slid free of their sheaths. The women were tense, alert. No one rushed. No one fled. Among the women of movement without command was death. Invaders regularly hunted them and their paradise. Men thirsted for their bodies and their souls. They had lost too many sisters by leading with emotion instead of direction. They had learned the lessons of the past. Their strength and unity was in their stealth, and they were always ready to defend the island, the children, and themselves with their lives. All eyes turned to Seraphina. She gave the nod. "Move." The door burst open as Seraphina strode into the night, her captains fanning out behind her. Torchlight bloomed across the village green just as a small figure stumbled into its center. Sophia, her daughter, barefoot, breathless. A cowbell clanged wildly in one hand, while a lantern swung from the other, its flame guttering dangerously low. Sand streaked her calves, salt crusted her hair. "Captain! My captain!" Sophia wept, collapsing to her knees before the women. "Beach, please, come with me. He came. He came from the sea." The poor dear breath hitched, making it a struggle to speak. She could barely breathe. "Come to me," said Seraphina. Sophia rushed to her mother with relief. Seraphina knelt instantly, stroking her daughter's shoulders. "Slow," she commanded. "Steady." Sophia nodded respectfully. She was 13 now. In 2 years, she'd be on patrol by herself. She could not let the fear overwhelm her or embarrass her mother, the queen. "I ran. I didn't know what else to do." "You did right," Seraphina said, though her eyes were already scanning the dark horizon. "Aminata, Khalida, you are with me." "Yes, Captain," they answered in unison. "Amara, Jahia, wake the others. Full readiness." "And then, Amara, you join us for the ride out." Her gaze softened only briefly. "Someone take Sophia to the mothers and gather the children to the safe space." Sophia clutched her mother's arm. "I tried to help him. I didn't know if I should touch him. I'm sorry, Mama." "Shh. Go," Seraphina said, firm but not unkind. The tribe moved as one. Women poured from doorways. Children were gathered up. Horses were brought forward, snorting under the press of urgency. "Let's go!" shouted Seraphina before she marched off the steps toward the horses. It was time to find the man from the sea.
Let me tell you about the day. The white boy walked across the sea.
As Seraphina mounted, she listened for the sound of the conch horn. There was none. No warning horns sounded from the cliffs, no signal fires burning from their tallest trees. Urgent, but not yet an invasion? She pondered. They rode hard beneath the moon, she at the head, Aminata at the tail, the women all ready for the hunt. once been shaped by Spanish hands and bled dry by conquest, long before any of them were born. Churches had been raised on native bones, faith forced into the soil alongside the dead. Now the land answered to women who had taken it back with blood, fire, and sacred oath. They learned the teachings of the natives who once thrived here, honoring the ancestors and their divinity as keepers of life and light in an otherwise cruel, dark world. Their reward was seen in what endured: children born strong, harvests plentiful, and blackthorn kept locked out at sea, forever searching, forever denied. God, Serafina often thought, had a cruel but beautiful sense of irony. "East," she called. Aminata peeled away instantly, driving her horse into the dark to check the outer scouts. She was the strongest blade among them, the finest sailor, the one Serafina trusted with her life, and the island should she fall. The beach came into view in a ring of torches near the shore. Serafina reined in her horse sharply. Women stood in a half circle around something lying in the sand. She dismounted and strode forward. The circle parted. A body lay there, flat on its back, soaked and shaking. A white body. She gripped the handle of her knife and pulled it out. "What is this?" Serafina demanded. Lysandra the Liberator stepped forward, her voice steady. "He came out of the water. Sophia saw him first, said he walked until he couldn't." She gestured to the sea. "No ship other than ours. Scouts swear they haven't seen any. Rebels returned today, headed to Tempest Island, yes, but nothing followed them in. We watched. No sails, no lights." Serafina's eyes narrowed on the dark ocean. "Then why wasn't the warning lit?" "Because," Lysandra said carefully, "look at him. Look!" Serafina stepped closer. The small man was thin, too thin. Sand-crusted curls plastered to his skull. His clothes hung on him like rags stolen from a corpse. "He's full of seawater," Lysandra continued. "Can barely speak, keeps passing out." Serafina knelt. A torch was handed to her and she lowered it. She lifted his chin and froze. "He's really just a child," Serafina said. "In these waters?" Khalidah's temper snapped. "So what? A white child is still a blade pointed at our throats. You should have lit the warning, Lysandra." Murmurs rippled. Blackthorn's name was not spoken, but it lived in every face, even a white face. The women grew angrier. Blackthorn had already killed mates, sons, and sisters in the past. He also broke truces and treaties with other captured pirates. Blackthorn hunted pirates and rebels to rid the sea of rebellion and restore British dominion over the Caribbean. He searched the shadow waters for the location of their home for a decade. Serafina herself was once his prisoner. She had the scars to prove it. Her sisters saved her. They showed no mercy to white men or their sons in retaliation, no matter the age. The boy coughed. He turned over, retching, and then sat up. The women all took a step back, except Serafina. She pressed the knife to the boy's throat. "Please," the boy rasped. "I only—" "Quiet," she hissed. He gagged, coughing brine. A thin line of blood bloomed where her blade kissed skin. "I beg you," he whispered. "I need help." Lysandra's hand closed over Serafina's wrist. "Captain." The moment stretched. Serafina lifted the blade. Khalida scoffed. "Mercy gets us killed." Serafina stood slowly. "We sail tonight," said Serafina. A stunned silence followed. Imara stepped forward. "If you take him to Lazarus, he'll kill him anyway. Why waste the risk? If Blackthorn sent him, we should toss him back to the sea. The prophecy, Lysandra interrupted. All eyes turned to Seraphina. If this is the child spoken of, Lysandra continued, the one carried by tide and fate, then killing him may doom us. Seraphina looked at the faces of her tribe, women who had bled beside her, loved beside her, buried their dead beside her. We cannot hide forever, Seraphina said. If he's a spy, Blackthorn already knows our shore. If he isn't, then fate has brought us something worse. She exhaled. Seraphina looked at the women who all trusted her with their lives and freedom. She had the tough job of making life-threatening decisions. You are right, Lysandra. The prophecy may be upon us. We will need Lazarus to help us resolve the dilemma. Either way, the boy's life is useful, for now. You know the rules. Aminata walked out of the forest. Having checked in with her scouts and given orders for them to secure the perimeters, she had decided to join the fight. She stared down at the wounded boy and then looked to her leader. Seraphina never questioned herself. To question herself would be deadly. She respected Aminata's guidance and often waited to weigh in her leader's opinion. You taken him to Lazarus? Aminata asked. Tonight, yes, said Seraphina. Kalita and Lysandra will join us. Aminata closed her eyes and inhaled the night air.
There's stormy days coming, possibly starting before dawn. He's lucky to have drifted to our shores before them.
He should have washed his natty ass up over on Whisper's shores, Kalita scoffed. Seraphina shook her head in disappointment. Kalita was very kind, but she had lost her lover 2 years ago to Blackthorn, and the loss was still raw for her, even though she had another. If we must go, let's do so now, said Seraphina. It was decided. The women picked up the boy and carried him to the boat. Seraphina and her crew joined him inside and were pushed out into the sea. They rode against waves rising taller and taller as they neared the deeper edge of the sea. Lesser men could never manage the feat in the black of night. The moon was full, but the sea and darkness were vast. The only true sight was provided by the lanterns held high on posts at the front and the back of the rowboat. Their ship, the Refuge, waited for them in all its majesty. A great pirate ship that belonged to the women taken from Blackthorn by them for his transgressions against their men. They kept it secured several miles from shore. It was anchored and positioned for any trouble that came their way. We will have to stay the night with the men. It is forbidden. They have been gone for 7 months, unclean. The raven won't be pleased, said Aminata. She knows we have an issue, Seraphina said, covering up her own inner excitement at seeing Lazarus again. Aminata stared at the child. He's lucky, Seraphina said, or cursed. We shall see if we survive his curse, Aminata said. Lysandra waits for the prophecy. I'm not so sure. The moon. Aminata was right. Something was coming, and it would not be gentle.